Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I am your host, Sareth Ney, and every episode I bring not the Stand Up Speakeasy, I had that as my last show. This is Sareth-Fest to Fest, and I'm interviewing festivals, people are performing that put together them. And my festival is called Sareth-Fest, and not to, I tried to change the name, but I couldn't. My town won't let me of Pueblo, Colorado. But I'm interviewing performers and producers from Orlando Fringe with this episode. And ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is Lady James. Hi, Lady James.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just caught up in my last interview series that I just wrapped up for the first season, so I got mixed up. I'm so used to it. I'm trying to break away from it now. So,
No
Lady James,
worries.
how's your day going?
Very good. I'm a wedding florist during the day, so we're getting back into season, and people are starting to have their celebrations again, and long postponed parties are now coming to fruition. So we are ready and willing to get back out there.
That's fantastic. I'm glad everything's going to somewhat normal, and hopefully it just keeps on going and we're on the right track, it seems like.
Yes.
Awesome. So, Corsets and Cuties won the Best of Orlando. What was it feeling like winning the Best of Orlando?
I can't even tell you. It's kind of cool. We have a really good group of burlesque performers here in town, whether it's our group or Peekaboo or Varieties or the Blacklist Babes. We love everybody who performs here, including even the lady boys of Peekaboo. So being recognized, at the top of our peers, along with the top three, that's amazing. We've been in the top three for the past 4 years. And then this year when we opened up the morning of the results and I saw we were at the top, I was like, yeah! So it kind of validates all the hard work that you do. And it kind of gives you a pat on the back and a little acknowledgement that you're doing something right.
Absolutely. It's always great to be acknowledged by the press, and for Corsets and Cuties for that to happen, and for other productions is fantastic. And you're coming back for Orlando Fringe again for another round. And how many times have you performed at Orlando Fringe?
Yeah, this will
With
be our
Delicious.
6th year at Orlando Fringe.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We do a different show every year, so it's not the same thing every year. And I've had people say, "Oh, we've seen your show." Well, you haven't. We change it every time. We have different performers and different acts, and we don't usually theme our shows too much. But this year, since we're in a new space, which is HÄOS on Church Street, we decided to run with the theme of being in a restaurant as well. And this year, it's delicious. So all the numbers have a little bit of food base to it. It might have something to do with hunger, or our opening number is from a very famous animated movie where we invite you to be a guest at our show. But it's not the number that you know. Of course, we've put a little cuties twist on it because we have fun with Fringe. That's the audience where we know we can be a little cheeky with.
Indeed, most definitely. Sounds like a really great time, and I'm a first-time Fringer. Well, I've been to see my friends perform stand-up there, but this is my first ever production. So, are there any tips and tricks for the newbies like myself?
Well, if you're a first-time performer, definitely read all of your information because there is a lot of information to go through. Make sure you have all of your deadlines in your calendar. Do a lot of meet and greeting with other folks. If you have comps to your show, you can trade with other artists and make sure that you go and support them. Do this like you're doing, which is so great because it gives us a chance to get the word out there to an audience we may not already, have been exposed to, literally exposed. Uh, and spend some time on the lawn. The green lawn of fabulousness, even though it may be a little different this year, it's still the best place to see and be seen. Do as many interviews as you can, go to the previews, be a part of the previews if you can, and just really let people get to know your name and your face and what it is that you do.
Awesome, that's fantastic. I'll definitely I'm scheduled to do tech rehearsals on the 19th, so hopefully there's a bunch that land on the day, and then I'll check out other tech rehearsals and all that good stuff. And I would definitely love to do that. And I have like 4 like comp tickets, so hopefully some folks would like to swap and see my show and I see their show. Hopefully on the same days. That'd be awesome.
It's always nice to see other artists in the audience, and I always have a part in our show where we get to ask the audience what shows they've seen or what shows people are a part of. Cross promotion is the best form of advertising. If you have a chance to talk to any of the press, the Orlando Sentinel, the Weekly, the Watermark, they're all really big supporters of the Fringe, and a lot of the local radio stations too will possibly get a chance to speak to them as well. So just keep your eyes and ears peeled for anything that you can get your face in front of and talk about.
Indeed. And I'll definitely do that because I'm a fellow friender and I wanted to help out because I'm with the whole social distancing and stuff. Figured this is another good way to do virtual and help sell tickets this way for you all and all that good stuff. So
yeah, we have kind of a double stack against us because we are what we call a BYOV, which is a bring your own venue. So we're not on the main campus of the rest of Fringe, so it's not easy just to dart out from one show and go to our show. You do have to go to a different location. Thankfully, that location is also a full service restaurant and bar, and it's right in the middle of downtown Orlando. And there are several other shows performing in that space as well. So you can go to HÄOS and see maybe 3 shows in a row, have drinks, have dinner, have lunch, whatever works for you, and kind of get everything all in one location. There is the little bit of travel that you have to do. If you don't want to worry about finding parking, Uber over. It's a really cheap ride, and it drops you right at the front door. Best way to get around, I'd say, in town for Fringe, for sure, especially to make those curtain times because they do not let late people in.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's good to know. Most definitely. And so your Delicious is a burlesque, dancing, singing, and everything you could pretty much sink your teeth into because it's food themes involved. And so how did you come up with the concept for Delicious? Like how was like the whole production wise and all that good stuff?
Well, every year we theme our Fringe show just a little bit because it makes it stand out from the year before, because I can't call it Corsets and Cuties every year and just have it be that. So one year we were Flawless, and one year we were Celebrate, and one year we were Harlots. So it just depends on what sticks in my brain. The year before, this past round, we actually were going to be Delicious a couple years ago, and then of course Fringe went online, and we had to tweak things a little bit for the COVID year. So we kept Delicious in our back pocket, and we just thought it was such a good descriptive word for something yummy and something that's tantalizing. And we did our Fringe photo shoot as the Last Supper, but we put a little twist on it and made it very stylized. And our poster, somebody said it looks like RuPaul meets Burlesque, which I'm fine with that because those girls are fierce. And the second part of it being funny is because I'm diabetic, and the table we had in front of us had like over $200 in candies and fruits and cakes, and I can't eat any of it. So we're doing this photo shoot with all this gorgeous food, and I'm just like, the picture that's on the poster is me literally just kind of hangry because I can't eat any of it. But, Delicious can describe so many things. Your costumes can be delicious. The people performing can be delicious. The food, of course, is delicious. And the overall feeling and excitement and experience of the show, like you said, we have everything. We have something for everyone. And I'm super lucky and super blessed to be surrounded by the talent that we have right now. We have an amateur performer who's wonderful. We have a performer who's been with us since the beginning who surprises me every show, which is really fun to watch him perform. We have aerialists and acrobatics and just beautiful girls, beautiful costumes that turn it out every show. And there's always an element of surprise, always an element of fun, because we don't take ourselves too seriously. We just want the audience to have a good damn time.
Absolutely, indeed. And a fun time is going to be happening at Fringe this year, and I can't wait to see as many shows as I can. That's fantastic, and all that good stuff. And the troupe, you founded it in 2014, and you noticed that there was a lack of performance opportunities for your talent, and all that good. And I know the feeling how hard it is to get on stage in most areas, and it didn't fit the theme park mold, it says here. Right. And so what made you, other than like not fitting the theme park mold, what made you branch out on your own and find stages to perform on?
Well, when we first did the show 9 years ago now at Fringe, We did a cabaret of all the songs that you know in, on Broadway that are a little naughty, and it was called Red Light, Bad Girls of Broadway, and that was produced by a local theater, the Breakthrough Theater by Wade Hare, and that was so popular and it was so well received. We wanted to do it again, but he wanted to go on and do a regular play, which was cool. And that's when a girlfriend and I were both like, well, let's do it ourselves. There's so many people in this town who have amazing talents that maybe age out of a certain role, or they're not quite old enough to play another role, or they don't have the look or the style that most places cast from, and that discounts their talent so much. And it's such a waste and a disservice to the public to not give these people a place to perform and show, you know, their passions and their talents. That we wanted that to be our stage. We wanted to play with all of our friends and perform the songs that maybe we would never get cast in to perform, but you know, get a chance to sing all those songs that you love on the radio that you know, you might not fit the mold of you know, the certain Broadway performer, but you can sing their songs. We do group numbers too, which is a lot of fun. You know, especially coming from theater and Broadway background, we love putting on numbers from like Jekyll and Hyde, from, oh goodness, my mind's going blank, but from Grease, we've done some numbers. We do a lot of throwback rock and roll 80s hair band songs, you know, that's my era. So we just kind of have brought all of the things that we've always loved doing to light on our stage and given others the chance to do that as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. We have some viewers in the audience, so if you'd like to interact in the chat, you're more than welcome to join us, but be nice to us. That'd be fantastic. And I love Grease, and you know, with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and 80s music is like, I grew up on it too, because I don't look that old, but I'm an 80s baby too. And I remember like listening to Madonna and on Top 40 radio with my parents in the car and all that good stuff. So Phil Collins.
Yeah, you can bring whatever you want to the stage. That's the cool thing about our show, is that I really don't want to put restrictions on my performers, because I want them to be inspired by whatever makes them feel good. That's the best thing about burlesque, is that it's not one thing anymore. You know, it's grown into so many different branches and styles and types. It can be whatever empowers you to create something to put out there. We've gone from, you know, sexy to funny to political to very emotional. Sometimes it becomes a therapy for people who are overcoming trauma or who have experienced something in their lives that has made them, you know, want to tackle that issue and overcome it. And it's very empowering. Even myself, I've never been a shy person, surprise. But I am shy about certain things, and working with my crew and being so supported and so well loved by the audiences and so well received, it's gotten me a little bit more empowered to do more things on stage that I wasn't doing at the very beginning and at the very start. And that's very freeing to be surrounded by all that encouragement.
Indeed, most definitely. And what I love about your show that I've read so far is how diverse it is. It's like, you know, no matter the height or whatever, and whatever their profession is, or it's like, you know, you have teachers, vets, techs, florists, all that. You're a florist, a wedding florist, and it's pretty neat how there's burlesque dancers from all walks of life that went and, you know, perform. And did you go finding them, or did they come and find you?
Both. You know, when we first started, we kind of put the call out to all of our friends that we knew that we loved and wanted to perform with them. And so we went finding a lot of them. And then we went through a couple of growing years where, you know, maybe some people decided they were fine with doing a couple shows and being done, or they moved on. My partner went ahead and moved, and I was out of state with her family, so I took everything on after she left, myself from the second year on. So we've had people refer others to us, and then we started our amateur show, and we found some really great performers that way. And we also open up to guest stars from other troupes in other performing spaces around town. And we've been absolutely lucky to get some of the most amazing talent to come and guest star with us, even if they aren't part of the regular troupe. They come in and do a show with us. And again, it's a cross promotion thing, and it's a support of other people in the industry. And it's really fun to get to play with people you maybe not get a chance to otherwise.
Indeed, most definitely. With your partner leaving out of state on the second year with due to family reasons, your family, the Corsets and Cuties, is a big old family, and you're one big, loud, dysfunctional, crazy, loving family, and that's what I love about your description about your crew, and it's awesome to see that you brought amateurs on and all walks of life, and just growing into a family. That's what life's all about.
Very much so. I wanted to, we're still working on the diversity. I still want to add more to our group, whether it's guest stars or amateurs or whatnot. We have 13 members as it is right now. And then we have kittens who help out with every performance. That's the hardest job in burlesque. If you don't know, it's the people who help us in between numbers, picking up the clothes, collecting the tips, setting out props. That's a hard job. But I don't ever want to be a place where anyone's going to feel like they're doing something they don't want to. I want them to do as much or as little as they feel comfortable with. If somebody just wants to come in and sing a song, that's fine. If somebody wants to come in and get completely naked, that's up to them. And whatever is sexy to them is sexy to somebody in the audience. There's never going to be one person who's going to appeal to everyone. Like Dita Von T says, you can be the juiciest, ripest peach, and there'll still be somebody who doesn't like peaches. So that's the important part, is that I want the audience to see something that they find sexy or something they can identify with on the stage being reflected back to them. And after every show, we always have people saying, how can we do this ourselves? How can we be a part of this? And that's, again, why the amateur show is so important and so fun. We started with 4 people in the first year, and last year we had 15. So it's grown really well. And I don't ever want to say that there isn't a spot for somebody if they have a passion to perform.
Indeed. And you're so right about the peaches. And I'm like that. It's like, Georgia can keep all the peaches. We're in Florida. I'll love the oranges myself. That's fantastic.
Any which way, it's fruit.
Absolutely. Indeed. Fierce fruit. Indeed.
Fierce is, yeah. It's an understatement. You definitely have to have the right attitude. You have to have, the right confidence. And I always have people saying, oh, one of these days I'm going to get up the confidence to join you guys. Do it. If I had done it, years before I started, I would have been doing this a lot longer and probably, a lot further than where we are now. I just turned 45, which is fantastic, but I can't see myself doing this when I'm 60. I mean, maybe with a red hat, whatever. But I see the younger girls and I see a lot of inhibition still, like shyness, and I get it, completely get it. But man, once you take that step and take control of your empowerment and what you think is important and you want to put it out there, it's so liberating, and it's so great to see another performer come into that on their own too.
Indeed. 45, I wouldn't have guessed. You look fabulous for 45.
Oh, thank you. I stay fluffy. It fills in the lines.
People think I'm way younger than I am too. I'm 38, so I'm like, and either they say you're a 5,000-year-old shaman or you're a 19-year-old trying to get into an R-rated movie, and it's like,
anytime somebody cards me, I'm like, thank you, bless you, child.
Indeed.
Doesn't happen too often anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I get carded twice at movie theaters. Once at the box office and once at the ticker taker. I'm like, come on, folks. Just let me into this rated R movie.
Rated R movies they're a little bit different than they were when we were growing up. Rated R now is, it's intense.
Absolutely.
And our show is rated R. I will say that we do allow 18 and up our show, and we've had moms come with their daughters, which is really cool. My mom and dad have come to the show several times. We get our boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives coming to support us, and that's what truly makes it a family type environment. We're never going to make fun of somebody uncomfortably. It's never going to be something that's we're ostracize somebody in the audience for talking to them. But I do want the audience to come along with us for the ride. The cast members get to know the regulars get to know us. I want everybody to know that they're welcome and they're all a part of it. I'm not going to talk at you on stage. I'm going to talk with you. And, once we get back to the regular way of doing things, it'll be it'll be nice to be able to play with the audience a little bit more than what we have been having to stay away and stay masked.
Indeed, most definitely. And I love that you do that because like you're empowering everyone around you and from the stage to the seats, and that's just amazing.
Well, that's the background of improv, you know. I mean, the power of, I always tell people, if you have the chance to take an improv class, even if it's just one round, do it. It's going to change your life. It gives you, you know, the trust to accept and build on people's offers. It'll give you more clear thinking in your life in all aspects, and everything that I do regarding any shows, put a microphone in my hand, I owe it all to improv training.
Indeed, most definitely. And you mentioned your show's a rated R show, and it's like my show's pretty much rated R, and then it kind of reminds me of like we were talking off air about Spooky Empire and such, and I compare it to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it starts off really nice and easy, and then when the third act comes, Leatherface appears, and it's like all heck breaks loose, and they're like, oh my god, where did this
and
come
there's
from?
no turning back.
No.
Yeah, I have a good time at Spooky Empire, so that's another part of my life, another part of my hosting, and that's something I get to do twice a year, and love getting on stage and meeting the celebrities and talking to the guests that come, and hosting the costume contest. So that's a really fun part of it. And I'm so glad it's back in Orlando and we get to have another party with our friends, because Spooky Empire is another family, and another dysfunctional fun family. Surprise. And this October is going to be crazy because we are ready to bring it back big time. The one we have coming up in a couple weeks is going to be a fun little gathering to get us back in the swing of things, but October is going to blow it out of the water.
Wow, I can only imagine. It's like they always put on a great, convention, and it's so neat to know that you host the panels and such, and I've had experiences with them the past couple years, and from Orlando to Tampa, and I'm glad everything's coming back to Orlando because Orlando's home, and plus it's a shorter drive for all of us. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Tampa was great, and the people in Tampa received us really well. The media loved us there. The convention center was great. It was just something different, and different is hard for people to change. The people in Tampa obviously loved us going there because it was a shorter drive for them. But this year, we're going to be at the Wyndham at the end of the month, and then we'll be at the Hyatt Regency, our host hotel that we've been at in the past, who love having us come back in October.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. I definitely got my tickets for Saturday because they warned us that they're on the brink of selling out, and so it's going to be a really good time. So
it's always nice to see everybody there, especially when it gets busy in the hallways, or all the costumes going past you. And this year we have to make sure that we say socially distance. We still have to have masks, and I mean, obviously it's a little easier to do Spooky Empire if a mask is part of your costume, so it makes sense there. Petey and Gina have done a really good job to keep the room for the vendors spread out. And if anybody was at our pop-up at Christmas, you saw how we did that, and they did a really good job of it. The vendors felt good, the people coming to the con felt good. And I'm excited because we got some really great celebrities this round that I get to interview that I haven't met before. And I'm doing a little bit of a Janet cosplay for my Barry Bostwick panel, because awesome. You can't interview Brad without being Janet. Come on.
Indeed, most definitely. And bringing it back to Fringe, you won the 2018 Orlando Fringe Producer of the Year.
I did.
That's fantastic. And what was that like, winning the Producer of the Year?
It was a total surprise, actually. We were at the awards, and my daughter and I were sitting at the back of the tent because it's always done outside. And we got our award for selling out a couple of shows, and our sponsors were there. And I knew we were up for that because obviously we sold out a couple of shows. And I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for coming, guys. That's, if you wanted to go home, I think that's the only thing we're up for. And I was listening to the awards, and it was just me and my daughter. And she's so sweet. She's very cute. I think she's about 8 years old that year. She'd say, "Oh, Mom, this is you. Oh, Mom, this is you." I was like, "No, honey, I'm not up for any of these awards." But the Veteran Producer Award came up, and Michael Marinaccio, he's so great. He was the producer of Fringe that year. He's talking about somebody who I had to go back and rewatch the video because I couldn't remember after everything happened, like what he had said. But he was basically saying, somebody who worked very hard every year to improve their show and change it up and learn and grow. And my daughter, Zoe, she was like, Mom, that's you. And I was like, well, yeah, it kind of is. And then he said my name, and I was like, what? Because again, I was a show that's a burlesque show. A lot of people don't put a lot of stock in burlesque because they don't think of it as art, like a play that you have to write and produce, but it's so much work. And then we're also, like I said, we were a BYOV, which is a venue that wasn't on the main campus. So a lot of those shows get overlooked, but it was really, really nice to know that all your hard work and your dedication and your growing and changing and the frustrations you put up with, and then all the accomplishments that you get are recognized by somebody, and they also see that you're learning and growing. So again, it was a pat on the back that was definitely appreciated. And what was really cool is I won the Veteran Producer Award that year, and then the New Producer Award was another young lady, Michaela, and so it was very cool to see two women recognized in predominantly male roles, although not usually in burlesque. So yeah, I was very, very excited to receive that and very honored. And the video and me giggling and having like the biggest smile on my face, and then the coolest thing somebody else pointed out to me afterwards, my venue family was there, so everybody was celebrating Mama Bo, who's like the mom of the family that performed with Blue Star and everybody. She said, your daughter got to see that. And that struck me as something like, oh my gosh, that's so great that she sees all the work that I do. Sometimes she's at our dance rehearsals. She sees me mixing music or doing the promos and postering and putting things together. And then she got to see me awarded for that. And that made me feel really good that she can see the fruits of your labor. Back to the fruit.
Indeed. And you spoke of having sponsors. Is it difficult to gain sponsors, or how does the whole process work for you?
You know what? I can't even tell you how lucky we are. We have had the same sponsor from the very beginning. I just randomly crossed paths with somebody when I was in another facet of weddings. I was working with wedding cakes, and I was selling a wedding cake to a young lady, and her father was with her, and he happened to look at the books I had for adult cakes for like bachelor and bachelorette parties. And we kept those books to the side, but he was looking through them, and I was like, I want to see your face when you look at these cakes. And he looks at me and he says, I want to see your face when you find out what I do. And he handed me his business card, and he's the owner of Premier Couple Superstore. Awesome. And then from there, a friendship was born. He sponsored our first show at Fringe, the red light show that I was telling you about that kind of spawned everything with the Cuties. And he's been with us ever since. And they're like family to us. They come to every show. They promote our shows in their store with posters, and then they do media blasts for us on the emails and text service. And anything we need, he's like, what do you need from me? Tell me what you need. And they sponsor us through our performances at any venue that we go to. Any kind of crazy idea I have, Tony, he's the owner. He's always like, okay, what do you need? He's a big burly guy from New Jersey. You'd think he's a big biker guy, and he's the biggest teddy bear. Don't let the exterior, intimidate you. And then his wife, Susan, we call them both Mom and Pop. And they're just the most lovely people. Their daughter, Heather, comes with her husband to our shows. And not only do they support our shows, but they go to other friend shows. They go to other shows that some of our performers are doing around town, like singing and their live bands and stuff like that. They also are big supporters of the Barber Fund. And we were very honored this past week at our show at HÄOS to present Blue Star with a $1,000 check to support the Barber Fund. And that was from them. That was from Premier. And, so not only are they wonderful people, but they have a great business. Sexual education and sexual health is a huge thing that people need to not be shy about anymore. And, we want to keep supporting them as much as they do for us.
Absolutely, and definitely go check them out, and the Barber Fund as well, and donate to them. Their website scrolling on the bottom. And are there any other sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to that helps produce?
Well, I've tried to keep Premier being our primary sponsor because they do so much for us, and they've been with us for so long, and they're so lovely. We are very lucky to have a patron. His name is Chris Pettit, and he's a lawyer. He practices in Texas and Florida, and he supports us, with, if we need something extra for costumes, he'll help us out with that. Or if I have a crazy idea for advertising, he helps me out with that. And, he's a patron. He's somebody who comes and enjoys the show. And if I know anybody who needs a lawyer, I send them his way. It's a nice little back and forth that way. I have had people come up to us at shows and be like, what can we do to support? And honestly, that little Venmo that's scrolling across the bottom there, that's the best way to support us, because it is very expensive to look that cheap as we do.
Indeed. Donate away to the Venmo of Corsets and Cuties, please. That'd be amazing. And definitely when you get lawyer service, go to Corsets and Cuties law firm. And
you need a lawyer, yeah, because Chris Pettit, he's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so with the expense of a show, it's not only costuming, which is expensive, but it's also props. It's also the show fees for the venues. It's advertising, printing costs, even just doing posters to go around town. There's cost in everything we do. And I want to make sure my performers are paid. That's the most important part to me, is when I see the ticket sales come through, I'm like, okay, good. Now I know I can pay them their show rate. When we have really excited audiences and they, flash the cash or they send the Venmo tips, I know that my performers are being taken care of. Nobody does burlesque to get rich. It's not going to be a thing. But if I know that they can, put gas in their car for that show, or they have a little extra money that week to maybe buy a costume for the next show, that really, really does help.
Indeed. I plan on donating all my ticket sales to the comedians and musicians of Florida of my choosing, because, the pandemic hit and they were all out of work for a while. And I'm like, you know what, if I can, put food in your stomachs or gas in your tanks, and for helping me along my journey, I'll help you this way. So it's like, that's all great stuff for sure. And I'm like a one person / superhero show. So I'm just kind of trying to be their superhero.
Oh, that's so great. We did that in March for my birthday. Every year I like to do a show because I like to perform and have my friends with me. So for our show in March, we did a fundraiser for the Theater West End, which is our home in Sanford. We performed after our regular venue was torn down. They welcomed us, and we've been performing with them for over 2 years. And this year, because of the pandemic, they've lost 90% of their revenue. And because they are such a huge asset to the community, we wanted to make sure that we could help out. Ooh, my dog moved my light. Sorry. We could help out in any way possible. So we did a fundraiser for them, and all the performers and all the guest stars donated their performance. And we did a silent auction. And through ticket sales and the sales of the silent auction that was all donated from local businesses, we were able to raise over $4,000 for the Theater West End, and hopefully help them keep their lights on another month, because every month the bills come. Whether or not you get a grant one week, the next week you never know what you're going to have to pay out.
Indeed. And the West End is inside the West End Trading Company, right? It's like on the other side.
It's a separate theater.
It's
a whole theater by itself. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, the West End Trading Company is a cool space in Sanford, but the Theater West End is on First Street, right there when you turn onto the main drag of downtown. It's over on the right-hand side, right next to Slam Pizza and the Tennessee Truffle. It's a beautiful theater. The boys, Derek and Quinn, who took it over, have completely renovated it from what it was. And then after the pandemic struck, they took out all of their 152 theater seats and put back in 80 cabaret-style seats with plexiglass dividers in between each party, so everybody could remain safe during the pandemic and still be able to see a show. And all the performers and the audience are required to wear masks the entire time.
Wow, that's amazing. I've never been, but now that you told me about it, it's like I gotta go check out that space and catch shows and support them, because I want to make as many theaters stay afloat as possible during these crazy times.
Yeah, the first thing people need after some kind of global pandemic like this is entertainment. It's a release, it's an escape, and people don't think about supporting theaters until you really need them and they're gone. And not only does Theater West End have an amazing season, but they have guest performers come in like us. They supported a lot of Fringe performers after Fringe to come in and do their shows for an extended audience and an extended run. And they also have an education system that's really important to the up and coming kids that are in the arts, to have a place to grow their craft, to have a place to perform. Creative kids are really special. And if they don't have the right nurturing and the right growth and support system, you're not going to get the Broadway stars of tomorrow. My daughter was very lucky to be a part of one of their shows, and they not only sold out their show, but they added 3 extended shows and sold all those out too. So there's a place for, all these kids to go to and create something amazing. And what they do with these productions with these kids, and the kids stay in masks the whole rehearsal and show, you're floored. You're blown away by it.
Indeed, most definitely. I was definitely one of those creative kids. Like, as soon as class started, my mind would wander off and I'd write short stories instead of taking notes in class.
I was right there with you. Yeah, I was voted class clown. Yep. I would much more be entertaining the class than sitting down and writing a paper, for sure.
Most definitely. And when I graduated college, I felt just like Chris Farley and Tommy Boy, because I had a 2.6 GPA, barely graduated, got a D in my final semester. Took me 7 years to get my bachelor's, and I was just celebrating. I did it, yeah. But
I went to school for improv, so I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. My degree is literally, an improv from Sat Comedy Lab, which is fine with me.
Those are fantastic folks too. Like Ali Flores is like a comedian, and
can I just tell you?
Yeah.
Ali guest starred with me at our last show because he and I have been swing dancing for 15 years. We've known each other for more than 20 years. We worked together at Universal for a long time, and Ali's like the brother I never wanted. So he and I have known each other for a very long time, and he is one of the salt of the earth guys that I adore.
I agree wholeheartedly. I met him for the first time in Ormond Beach, and he was performing stand-up with Isaac Knox, and it was just so neat to like interview him on the spot. His interview's on my website too, so I'll have to send you the link, and both of them actually. So it's fantastic that you're, like you said before we went on air, it's like, our circle of friends is just really small, no matter like, and we're all like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like, it's just it's wild.
It's funny you say that. I had an improv group called 6 Degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we, like you think Orlando's this huge crowd, and then you find out one person who knows another person who dated another person who married another person. And I mean, seriously, the town of Orlando just keeps getting smaller and smaller the more that you meet people and know where they come from and who they interact with.
Indeed, most definitely. That's really awesome. And you spoke of the lockdown and the pandemic and how it changed the whole dynamics of how the world works. And you had to find new ways to be creative, and you went online and virtual, and like it was interesting in your experience. But tell me more. Like, what did you learn? What were the pitfalls and all that? The good, the bad, the ugly.
Oh, Lord, I am not a technology person. Like when you and I got on the stream, I was like, why can't you hear me? I learn by doing. So I'll learn it. And then the next time I do it, it'll be better. But with the pandemic, we had to learn how to stream our shows, how to charge to stream shows, how to do, private rooms to where people would see the show only if they've paid, how to get electronic tips happening. People were really used to giving cash tips. So electronic tips, it doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same feel. We did a online Comic-Con thing, and our part of the show was on at like 3 a.m. So it was a 24-hour thing. So I was up watching it, and then I guess they didn't have a strong enough signal. So it was like staggered. It would start and freeze, and Burlesque is hard enough as it is online and watching it, in your home to get an audience like that. But then when having technical problems of it not working, and you hype it up so much and you try and get people to watch it and then it doesn't work, or you've done something like another show we did, I didn't realize I had to compress a file because it was too big. And to get it to play, it would lag with the music. And so that it's been a big learning and growing process. But from it, I've, like I said, I've learned a couple new things and how to stream live shows for people who couldn't be at a live show. Especially when we first went back into the theater, a lot of people weren't comfortable with coming out. A lot of people had health issues and they couldn't, or people from other states or cities that couldn't travel to come see our show. We were able to do a live stream of it, and they could pay to be a part of a private group to watch it. And again, that goes and supports the artist. It supports and pays the performers, and it gives people a chance to be a part of something, even if they couldn't be there physically. So there's plus and minuses to it all. I personally, my preference is always to see a show live.
Mine too. That's why I perform stand-up. It's like there's nothing like that live automatic feedback. It's just good or bad. I just love it all.
The applause is my crack.
Indeed, same here.
It is a drug. It is a drug that I will always chase, for sure.
Absolutely, for sure, for stand-up for myself, and so I'm glad that everything is coming back. Like we talked about the live setting from both the audience and the cast, and you felt like it's a whole new challenge, and that's what, like, after this whole thing caused us to stop the world from live performance and going back to finding our groove again, and getting our groove back. It's definitely a challenge, because, like, some people are like, can't wait to get out of the house to laugh again, but some of them are out of control. Like, how do you control the audience, like, of having had experiences?
We've been really lucky. Our audiences are usually really great. Every now and again the alcohol does come into play, and you have to tell somebody to simmer down, or you bring attention to kind of their obnoxiousness, and maybe that tones them down a little bit. Unfortunately, at one of our shows, after several reminders and requests for somebody to keep their mask on, she was asked to leave the show. And that's only happened once to us for, almost 7 years. So I'm pretty glad that that's not usually the case with our crew. We do get a lot of newbies who don't know exactly what they're supposed to do, or we get people who think they have free reign to do whatever they want with our performers, and that's always nipped in the bud as soon as anything rises up. I'm very protective of my performers, and so I will never ask them to do something that I wouldn't do myself, or if they don't feel comfortable with. And then I will always protect them and not have them any kind of situation that would not only risk their safety, but also their physical and emotional well-being. It's a very vulnerable place to be on stage, half naked, walking through a crowd. You put yourself out there, but it's not to be touched or groped. It's, a whole different kind of ball game. It's not a free zone to do whatever you want. There's still rules and manners in place. And if you step over that line, you will be called on it.
Indeed, most definitely. I'm glad you have that strength to do all that stuff. It's definitely tough, most definitely.
It's a big maternal instinct. I have 2 kids of my own, and then these performers, regardless of if they're close to my age or not, they're still my kids. I'm very protective of them, and I want them to be safe, and I'm also very protective of our image. I don't allow photos at our show unless it's a professional photographer. I don't allow videos at our show unless I've hired them for a specific teaser trailer or something. When we get our pictures back, I don't allow the performers to post pictures anything past their bra tops or bottoms. No pasty pics, no bare butt pics, that kind of a thing. For one, people don't need to see that on the internet. If they want to see it, come see it in a show. And for two, you never know who's going to get a hold of that and what it's going to be made into. Unfortunately, with the internet these days, you have to kind of protect yourself in every facet. And I feel like if people come into the show to see it, it's a safe space. And we'll give a little tease and a little hint to what you can see when you come to a show. But we're not going to put it all out there.
Indeed. And that's the way to do it. We're pretty strict in my homeroom at the Nog. It's like no audio recording, no video recording, no flash photography without consent. It's like right. I'm approved because I'm like, the house photographer. And so everyone knows they use their pictures of that I took on stage on their flyers that they put on comedy shows. And that's what I love is like, they use my photography to get gigs, and that's all that matters to me. It's like, as long as I can help you in that vein, I'm happy. So
we're really lucky. We've had a lot of really great photographers come and shoot our shows, and I'm fine with professional photographers coming, or if people want to start building their portfolio coming. Contact me and I'll let you know if I have somebody reserved for it or if I need somebody. And if they want to use pictures from the shows in their work, they have to, agree to the same rules. I'm fine with the pictures of the cute girls being in there, but none of the parts that you got to pay to see.
Indeed. And the best way to reach out is through your website, corsetsandcuties.com. And
you can actually reach out on Messenger on Facebook, because I use that. And the website's, for the most updated information about shows and a little bit of bios and reviews and stuff like that. But Facebook and Instagram are really fun because I can put stuff up there real quick, and I can do behind the scenes of like rehearsals or costume building or some of the silly stuff we do, like interviews. And the TikTok, I'm getting into that thanks to my daughter, the old TikTok. Finding out, fun stuff on there. We have a Pass the Brush challenge we did, which was a lot of fun. We did that during quarantine to keep some content coming out. We did a 6-year anniversary video, thanks to Pink Mint Productions. We did a fun little video. And we just keep trying to think of things that are going to be a little bit different, a little outside of the ordinary, to keep people surprised, when they come in. We've got some things planned for Fringe that are going to be fun and different. And thanks to our sponsors, we always have a little prize giveaway at every show to give people a little shopping trip. Indeed. To have a good ending to the evening.
Absolutely. And speaking of your 6th anniversary show, it was Penguin Point Productions in Oviedo. I believe that's how you pronounce it. How did you link up with Penguin Point Productions?
James Brenlinger, who started Penguin Point, was my son's drama teacher. So I've known him for a while, and he's friends with a lot of my friends because they were in his class too. And then when he started out with Penguin Point, we helped him get the costume shop together. My son's done a lot of tech work for him, and then he also performs there sometimes because he's a performer in his own right. And we needed a space for our anniversary show, and Sanford wasn't quite up yet, and we had lost our venue the year before, and the new space hadn't been announced yet. I wanted to do a live show because our anniversary show is very important to me. And thankfully, they had the space and the ability to let us come in and do it safely again, with temperature checks and hand sanitizer and spacing and masks. And it was sold out, so I'm not mad about it. They were very gracious to do that. And to do burlesque in a mall was interesting check on the bucket list there, I guess. The space we performed in was previously a Gap, so that just made me laugh. I was like, I can't fit into anything in the Gap, but here I am.
Awesome. That's one of the cool things about being, on a stage performer. You never know where your stage is, and the world is your stage. Yeah.
We've performed in some interesting places. We got to do a morning brunch for Real Radio. The Jim Colbert show. He did a brunch event and at Reyes Mescaleria, Reyes, really great restaurant on Orange Avenue. And we did a Sunday brunch burlesque. So daytime, full on light, open windows in the entire restaurant. And we're doing burlesque for all these people. And it was fantastic. So, you hire us, we'll travel. We possibly have something coming up in Sanford in June that I'm working out the details with. We got our anniversary show in August, and that I'm hoping the plan is to have it done with a live band. So that's going to be kind of fun. Another amateur show in September, and then our holiday show in November, and a Halloween show in October. So the rest of the year is already planned for us.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's great stuff. And speaking of Real Radio, like I was guest on Real Laughs and Tom and Dan, a corporate time with Tom and Dan.
Those
They're
guys.
Great folks. They're amazing. Samantha, the whole cast and crew, they're fantastic folks.
Yeah, Real Radio has been a part of my life for a while. Naomi Bradshaw guest stars with us. Of course, she's the wife of Jack Bradshaw, who is the program director there. And I've done a couple of things with the Monsters in the morning. And, it's a great asset to the town to have some place where we can, express your opinions and feelings, and either they'll make fun of you or, you'll be invited back to talk again. But again, they're another entity that doesn't take themselves too seriously. They just have a good time.
Yep. From Monsters in the Morning all the way to Night with the Real Laughs crew. It's like, I'm addicted to talk radio because of Real Laughs, and it's just like, it's so much better than some of the music that's coming out today. And I'd much rather hear my friends talk, like Ross. He's a fellow comic, and Ryan Holmes and Sabrina.
Let me tell you about Ross.
Yeah.
I've known Ross since he was 12 years old because I dated his brother. So Ross used to come over and stay the night at my house and go to work with me when I went to Universal. And he's always been a great kid. And to see him have the success that he's having now, it's really, really neat to see somebody come into their own and be recognized for the talent that you knew they had when they were little. Because even as a little kid, he was very charming. And I tell Chase all the time, I was like, your brother's gonna make it pretty big, right? And to see the success for both of them, it's really fun. And you got to be happy for those guys because they're making it happen.
Absolutely. I love Ross's sketches. I'm like, these are fantastic. Like with the eye for eyes, the eyesore, eye for eyesore.
It was brilliant. Yeah. And the thing about Ross is he's not acting. Anything you see on screen or anything you see in a show, that's him. Yep. That's how he's always been.
Absolutely. I've seen him perform and handle the heckler better than I've ever seen. And I'm like, this guy's a pro. It is just good stuff.
Ollie's really good at that too.
Indeed. I have an interview with him on my website too when we were outside. He called me the Nardwuar of Orlando comedy because I go up and interview comics, and I'm like, there's like 600 of them on my website. It's like, go see them. And
cool. So I'm like among the comics.
You are amongst the comics, most definitely. There's some celebrities on there too, like
cool.
Be Real from Cypress Hill, and just a lot of stuff from the West Coast. It's a fun time. And absolutely. So you the show at HÄOS on Church Street is headed by Blue Star. And how did you link up with Blue Star?
Blue is she's a one of a kind, man. She's been my mentor from the beginning. When my partner and I wanted to put together the show that we were going to do after we did Red Light, we sat down with her one day. We took her out to sushi, and we sat down with her and said, hey, we want to do this. Because she had already established in town varieties and the Ladies of the Peekaboo and been performing for a while. She already had a name for herself because she, was a big voice of the LGBTQ community, ran the venue, which was, a performing arts space of Virginia, did a lot of work as DJing and performing around town at Pulse and Southern Nights. So she was a good lady to talk to, pick her brain kind of a thing. And when we told her we wanted to do it, she was like, all right, well, gave us a couple of pointers, and we went into the venue, and the first weekend was sold out before we even did the show. And so she let us add a second weekend, and that sold out. And all along the way, she's been a person I would go to when my partner split. I went to her and asked her opinion and, what her thoughts were. And when cast members are going in or coming out, or if I'm having a particular issue, I'll ask her what her advice would be to handle a certain situation, because she's been there. She's seen it. She was the voice of the community when Pulse happened, and we all banded together with her to bring in supplies and raise money and do shows. And the whole thing with Pulse, it was just keep dancing. And she gave us a safe space to do that. And when the venue was taken away, that took away our home. It wasn't just a building. It was a place for us to learn and grow and become who we always were meant to be. And it was a place for the misfits, a place for people who didn't know where to go. So they found us. So once that was gone away, we knew she was coming back, and we knew we wanted to stay with her. And so when HÄOS came about, we were like, oh, what's this? And we knew it was in the downtown Orlando area, but then it was going to be a restaurant. And we were like, okay, it's going to be a restaurant, but where do we fit in? Because we were all waiting for our chance. And then once we found out the event space was upstairs and we could, still do live shows with her, as soon as she gave me the green light, I was jumping on board. And we did our first shows there in February, sold out. We did 2 shows last weekend, sold out. So the community definitely rallies behind whatever Blue has her name on, and we are more than happy to be a part of it.
Awesome. Shout out to Star and House on Church for supporting the arts. You are fantastic in my book.
And she's the founder of the Barber Fund. That's who we support for people living with cancer. And that foundation, named for her friend John Tweeka Barber, helps anything from bills that need to be paid, people going through chemo needing blankets to stay warm and comfy when they're getting treatment, loved ones being flown in to take care of people on when they're going through treatment. There's so many different foundations out there for people who have cancer for bills or for specific things like wigs or prosthesis or the operations. This really just helps with the basic things in life that you don't even think about, covering, payments they need to make on their house while they're going through treatment and can't work, food runs, that kind of a thing. And it directly affects the people in our community. So it's local, it stays local. And thankfully our sponsor, Susan, she's a recovering cancer survivor. And, everybody has been touched by the C word. Unfortunately, you see it announced every other day. Somebody on Facebook knows somebody who's been affected by it. And, we just hope to make people having to go through that make their lives a little bit easier.
Indeed. And cancer runs in my family, and I'm so glad that for this episode we're raising funds for the Barber Fund, and donate away to Venmo's, Corsets and Cuties, and the Barber Fund simultaneously if you can. That'd be amazing. And
we've done fundraisers and given portions of our tips to them, and then Premier stepped in and does their donation when they get a chance to write the check out. And if you never have to be a recipient, that's the best thing in the world. But you can always help.
Indeed, most definitely. And you're doing a great thing, and we need more people in the world like you. And
if you don't do something in your community that supports you and give back, then what's the point?
Absolutely. And that's what I feel about with donating all my proceeds to the comics and the musicians, because they helped me through so much in the Central Florida area and all over the state. It's like they brought laughter to my life, and they brought music to my life that healed my soul, and how music and comedy just unites us is just beautiful.
Yes, exactly. And I get people after every show saying, I wish I could do what you could do, or that song is something that reminds me of this or that or the other. Or one of my performers did a routine that was pretty emotionally heavy about trauma and experiences in war, and you wouldn't think of it from a burlesque group. And we've done numbers dealing with bullying, or the power of the city that we live in. We've done a Pulse Orlando Strong number, and a friend of mine is like, how do I go to a burlesque show and laugh and cry in the same hour? How do you do that? And it's not me. It's what the performers bring on stage, and it's what the audience gets from it, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Absolutely. And when I heard you losing your home and how it was meant for the misfits and finding yourself a new home, I would be totally devastated too. The Trinidad Irish Pub is my homeroom that I perform stand-up in, which I'm performing tonight actually. And I usually close out the mic. And whenever I produce something, I'm like, don't even pay me. Even though I'm the DJ and the photographer and all that stuff for you all, don't pay me. I'm doing this because I love comedy. And with them going through what they had to go through the pandemic, I'm like, just let me help you build yourself up again. And so it's pretty much the island of misfit toys, because everyone from Melbourne, Orlando, Jacksonville, they all gather to the Nog just to perform stand for 5 minutes. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. And when it goes well, it goes really well. And then when it doesn't, it's so terrible.
Indeed. I've had those nights before.
The night that you have something that just doesn't go right, or a costume malfunction happens, or you didn't hit where you thought it was, or sometimes we have technical issues that we have no control over. Sometimes you just celebrate the failures. The audience will celebrate with you. That's one of the big things I learned in improv. If you're going to fail spectacularly.
Indeed. That's what happened on my birthday show. I bombed completely. I'm at my own birthday show that I sang happy birthday to myself on stage. And I said, skip the jokes, just sing happy birthday to yourself.
That's something you got to do you know, in the heat of the moment, it's just like, this isn't working. Change plans. Plan B. Yep.
Absolutely.
I've been there.
And one of the neatest things about your shows is that everyone there's a prize to win at each performance. And what gave you that idea to give away a free prize?
We wanted something to promote Premiere. So that always helps to promote your sponsor. And then we also wanted to give the audience a chance to maybe experience something new, especially if they've never been a premiere before, or to, like I say, have a good ending to a fun night if they wanted to go shopping after the show. The good thing about Premiere is that, again, they're one of those things that's kind of all-inclusive. They have lingerie up to sizes 6X. They have every kind of toy you can think of for any kind of way you want to get into things. They have movies, they have educational things, they have support products for people who've gone through prostate cancer or breast cancer as well. So it's not, you know, a lot of times people think of sex stores as something naughty and something dirty. And sure, I mean, there's an element to that, but if you make it more mainstream and think about it as something healthy in your life, it takes the stigma out of it. You know, not only do people who are in marriages or in couples or thruples or whatever you're into need to have healthy sex lives, but even by yourself, you know, if you're discovering what it is that you're into, that's important as what is you're into with your partner and how to express yourself and how to find your own pleasure and your own joy. And if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone else, unless they want it to, why not? And honestly, I would rather support a small mom and pop place that you can go and see the things in person, ask the staff about it, make sure they work, rather than get it online and have it shipped to you and you don't know what you're getting until you open the package. The staff there is very fun, very supportive. If you have questions, they have no embarrassment to answer anything you want to know about. They'll be happy to show you how something works, make sure batteries are in it, make sure they test it, and you're leaving with, something that's going to be worth your money. And if there are ever any issues, you're always welcome to come back and talk to them about it and see if there's warranties or replacements or any of that kind of stuff for any kind of toys and whatnot. I love going in there at different times of the year because we bring our posters in there to be displayed, and they've always got stuff for the Electric Daisy Carnival, for costumes. They've got stuff at Halloween. A lot of comic conventions will go in because they've got corsets of all sorts and sizes. They've even got tights and stuff for men. The shoes they have go up to sizes 13, I think. So, I think everybody can find something there that will enhance their experiences in life.
Indeed, most definitely support mom and pop shops. I have in my third act, I talk about my adventures in adult bookstores and bathhouses in West Hollywood and massage parlors in Bangkok, and I just can't wait to share that on stage. And I love the reactions from the crowds. They're fantastic. And
I love it. And I love that things are becoming a little bit more talked about too. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything, obviously, and there's a way to talk about things that are matter of fact, and you don't have to be ashamed or shy about it anymore. If you are confident in yourself and you're confident in your abilities and your experiences and your preferences, then make yourself happy.
Absolutely, 100%. And also, don't forget to bring your singles to tip the performers. And definitely support premiere couples, and remind everyone that you're sponsored at home again for the viewers at home.
Yeah, that's Premiere Couples Superstore, and everybody knows the jingles. Premiere Couples Superstore takes you where you want to go. Every show starts off with that jingle, and it's really fun to have the audience sing along. I think we're the only burlesque show who has a commercial at the beginning of our show. And the fun thing with them is not only do we give away like a gift card every show, but at Christmas, our holiday show, we do, instead of the 12 nights of Christmas or 12 days of Christmas, we do the 12 nights of premiere, and they give us 12 different items to give away to the audience, but we don't know what it is until we take it out of our bag and we start singing about it. It's the funniest damn thing, because I mean, even some of our performers will be like, whoa, what is this? and we'll sing about the different, like details that are on the package and all the fun things about them. And then we give them away to the audience. So 12 different people in the audience go home with some silly things that we've been singing about. And we really have a good time with that.
Absolutely. And when you do bring the singles to tip the performers, bring more singles with you, some more couples, and bring the whole gang, as it says here.
It's a fun girls' night out. It's a good couples night for a date. It's like I said, there's moms and daughters that have come together. A bunch of guys who have come together for bachelor parties. We're LGBTQ friendly. We always have a really good presence from that side of the community. And when we check people in, we have somebody at the door, Janice. She always helps us out by exchanging your money for cash. If you have 20 and you need singles, we do that. All the performers keep the tips that you tip them. We don't share tips except for the Venmo tips. Then I split those evenly among everyone. But it's funny, as many dollars and singles as we go through with our group or Peekaboo or Lady Boys or La Vixens, who is another fantastic burlesque group. I'm sure that the dollar bills of Orlando have been in somebody's booty or butt crack as many times as they've been through the circulation of Orlando. So that always makes me laugh. Wash your hands. And like I said, the tips are just another lovely way to support us and help us buy another costume or gas money or, for me, I put it away and that's my travel money. If I want to do a little giveaway or getaway for the weekend, that'll pay for like my dinners or something fun like that. Nobody does burlesque to get rich, for sure.
Indeed. And how money circulates in Orlando reminds me so much of how it circulates in Daytona Beach, my homeroom. And so definitely wash your hands in Daytona Beach.
Did you have any questions from anybody watching the show?
Not yet. They didn't pop up or anything like that. So if they do hop on like after the show ends in the comment section, I'll definitely check out my where I check my dashboard on YouTube and respond, or you can do the same too. So you can interact, post with all that good stuff. And there's tasty treats for everyone. And the most important thing of your show is
to have a good damn time.
Absolutely. And that's what we want you to have in at Fringe, whether it's Corsets and Cuties or Stories on Sunset or all the great, fantastic productions happening at Fringe on those 2 awesome weeks. It's going to be a really good time. So most definitely. And so definitely book Corsets and Cuties through Facebook Messenger. All the information scrolling on the bottom there. And also the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, website, Venmo, the Barber Fund, all that information scrolling on the bottom as well as in the description box below. So you can just copy and paste or just click it, however YouTube has that all set up and all that good stuff. And Lady James, is there any final words you'd like to give out to the audience at home?
Yeah, just support the arts. Whether it's a movie theater near you, live theater is important. If your kids are interested in doing any kind of performing, support them. They're the next generation of who's going to go out there and make a splash. Remember that all art is art. And even if it seems silly and trivial to you, it's some of the most important things to the people who are on the stage. And, if you are shy about doing it, take a shot, come on out. And, if you want to do it, stay tuned to our Facebook page. We'll always have some information closer to September for our amateur show, where we're going to invite whoever wants to be a part of that to compete for fabulous prizes, and the audience votes on that show. So I have nothing to do with it. I just host the show and I give the stage for the newbies to shine. So check us out. If you've been before, come on back. If you've never been, try it out. I guarantee you'll have a good time.
Absolutely. So hopefully this cross promotion is fantastic for you. But Corsets and Cuties ticket links are on the bottom. Mine are on the bottom, but make sure you buy Corsets and Cuties first and all that good stuff. And tip them well. That'd be fantastic of you. And donate away if you can. That'd be fantastic. And with that being said, support your comics, indeed. And so, Lady James, thank you so much for being my guest today. And it was an honor interviewing you and all that great stuff. And I can't wait to have you put this on your press kit and on your website and all that.
Yes, jazz. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I love talking about it. Obviously.
It most definitely, and I'm glad that I get to help promote your show too. And that's what I do this for. I'm one of the good journalists, like Superman and Spider-Man. So,
Hey, if I see you at Fringe, I'm totally giving you a hug, so it's gonna happen.
awesome, ditto. Can't wait. Awesome, good stuff. And so, for everyone at home, be safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you at Fringe. Be well, everyone.
Happy Fringe.
Happy Fringe.